Do you have too much stuff? And do you get attached to that stuff? Whether that's clothes, furniture, a home, a car, or even people. I'm Carol Talbot, the creator and founder of the Possibility Hub. And in Messages That Matter, I'm in conversation with David Gross as he shares wisdom and insights for your growth as we discuss holding on or letting go. Hello, David. Good to see you. And I know that today you're going to share how sometimes a simple little experience can lead to multi-layers of insights. Am I right?
Absolutely. And it kind of surprised me how they showed up this week. So just to put it into context here, the whole story or the whole context for where we're going today is holding on and letting go and what that means. And it showed up for me this week because my partner and I bought a new couch, sofa, whatever you call it. I grew up at a time when it was a Chesterfield. I don't think people even use that language anymore. However, we bought a new couch a couple of weeks ago, and it was delivered on Sunday. Sorry, it was delivered on Sunday. And therefore, in order to make space for the new couch to come in, the old one had to go, which we knew, obviously. But it was interesting because we drove it out to the dump because I didn't want to put it into a bin behind the condo kind of thing, right? That's not the most kosher thing to be doing. So we took it to the appropriate landfill place to let go of it. And that's the key word, to let go of it. And it was amazing to me to lift it up because we've had this for a dozen years, probably, right? To be hunkering this thing up into a big bin and letting it go. And there was some emotional connection to that, because we've had a life of 10 or 12 years connected to that couch. And it was just interesting for me to reflect on, what am I holding on to? Because the memories are still with me. I don't need the couch to trigger the memories, obviously. But it was an interesting moment of reflection as to knowing that we needed to get rid of this old couch, and we wanted to because we have this brand new beautiful couch coming in. But I yet had something going on in the heart that I wasn't resisting letting go because I really wanted to, but it was interesting to reflect on what I might have been holding on to in the moment when releasing that.
So it shows us just how easily we get attached to things. And, we live in such a culture of materialism and buying things. And, having lived in the Middle East for over 30 years, I do remember that for a long, long time, I resisted buying any furniture because I already had a home and a house fully furnished back in England. And of course, back then I had no idea that I'd be staying so long here. So I really resisted. I had cushions on the floor. I bought just one of those foam mattresses as a bed. So I was basically on the floor at night. I also had bricks from a construction site, which was my kind of like bookcase. I resisted for a long, long time buying any possessions because I knew I had everything back in England. And of course, now having been here so long, you're right. When you do sort of buy stuff, furniture, you get attached to it because within those things are so many beautiful memories to cherish and share.
Yeah.
And we forget that we have an imagination, we have memory, that we don't need to see something every day to be able to recreate it in our mind and bring back those beautiful memories.
Exactly. And I think that the reason now, just in speaking with you about this, the reason why I felt it so deeply is because 7 times in my life, I have moved from country to country or city to city and given up almost everything I owned beyond some clothes and a computer. So I gave away my car, I gave away every bit of furniture that I had, I gave away everything 7 times to move back and forth between Canada and Japan and other countries in Asia, and then back and forth in different cities in Canada. So I'm quite familiar with the starting fresh and starting all over thing. I don't know just why it triggered me. Actually, I got a couch story, if I can go on a tangent, because sometimes I do that, but it's connected. So it's interesting for me. I lived in Vancouver for 7 years, and I had given up everything to move to Asia, gave up everything I had in Asia to move back, and then gave up everything to move to a place in Vancouver from where I was with my mom and dad. And I resisted in the same way that you said you resisted buying furniture. I lived in this beautiful, beautiful one-bedroom apartment, almost the top floor in the building, 17 floors up, corner windows all the way around. I could see almost everything there was to see to the horizon in Vancouver. I was a block from the beach. It was the most beautiful place. And I always dreamt of having a couch and having a coffee table and a place to sit, as it were. But I kept my bed in the living room because it was windows all around, and the bedroom was more for storage than anything. And I remember after I left Vancouver, after 7 years there, never buying a couch, never getting a coffee table that I always thought would be so cool to have. I remember having a wee conversation in myself and saying, so how come I didn't do that? And actually, here's a totally different tangent point, but really important. The reason why I never opened myself up to buying a couch, I looked, but I didn't buy, for example, because the couches I wanted were eight weeks and 10 and 12 weeks delivery because they were coming from Europe, for example. I never did buy one or a coffee table or anything else there. And the answer when I came back that shocked me, it wasn't a painful shock, but it was like, oh, okay. I stopped asking for more because I was comfortable. I had a beautiful apartment. I had my desk, I had a TV, I had the bookcases and plants that I needed. I had a balcony that was covered in plants year round because in Vancouver you could do that. And I didn't need a couch. I didn't need a coffee table because I was so comfortable that I stopped asking. And that was very interesting for me to reflect on the fact that sometimes when we give up something, we realize that actually it's making space for something more to come in. But if we haven't really been asking for any of that flow, right, because we're staying where we are because it's comfortable, there's no flow. That was the state that I was in.
It's so true. I know I actually love having regular clear outs, whether it's my closets, cupboards, whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe because near where I live, they often have community garage sales to raise money for the
beautiful. Yeah.
cats. So, I like to contribute, and it's a great way to sort of offload stuff. And I always feel that if I want to bring in something new, whether it's a new dress or a new pair of shoes or something more meaningful, then I need to create space. And that actually reminds me of a wonderful story that and space in many different ways, that one of my good friends shared with me, that he had a mastermind group, and he was bemoaning his fate that he didn't have a relationship and hadn't been in a relationship for some time. And his mastermind buddies said to him, yes, but you haven't got space for a relationship. In the room that you have, you only have a single bed. There's not even space in your bed for another person. And he had never recognized that. And so, of course, he immediately got rid of the single bed, bought a king-size bed, and made space for other people. And I always think for people who are seeking to allow a new relationship, there's space in your home, in your life for that relationship. So we're not just talking about things, we're talking about relationships, friendships. They always say with friendships, don't they, that some friendships are for a season, a reason, and some for a lifetime as well. So what advice would you give people in terms of when they feel very attached to an item or something, in terms of that letting go?
That's interesting, because that gives me a filter of experience, because the attachment is not, to me, anything that weighs me down if it feels good for me. There we go. The attachment that feels good for me doesn't weigh me down. But if my thoughts about what I'm feeling attached to feel a little bit heavy, a little bit weighty, as it were, right? Then I have the opportunity to look at that and say, okay, what am I holding on to and why? Right? That's the deeper question for me is, okay, if I feel good holding on to something, then I not that I don't want to let it go, but I see no need to let it go. But if I do, like you said, want to do some clearing or some moving things around, okay, here we go. Again, it's a leap into the deep end of the pool, and I'll reel it back onto the dock or onto the edge of the pool in a second here. But I remember when I was doing some clearing of things, because 7 times in my life, I have moved country to country and then country to country in different cities. And I have taken with me a suitcase and my computer. That's it. Like nothing else besides clothes and a computer. And when I was getting rid of certain things, one of the last times, I remember saying to myself, am I going to miss this? And that was the best question I could ask, because if I said to myself, will I use this again? It's like, well, yeah, probably, maybe, right? Put it in the drawer, put it in the cupboard, put it downstairs somewhere. Will I use it again? Always gave me a maybe. And therefore the thinking that I had to keep it or I should keep it. But will I miss it? That was the best question, because will I miss it? Well, not really. Okay, then let it be, let it go. Can you relate to that one of the let it be, let it go, if you're not going to miss it?
What comes to me is a wonderful experience that you and I shared. You're probably going to remember this from many, many years ago when we met. And I think you were walking me to the train. We were in Calgary.
Oh, yeah, I remember that very well.
Exactly where I'm going with this. And I was wearing a necklace, a pendant, and it was a crystal pendant and wrapped in silver. Unique, and I really liked it. And when I like a pendant, I wear it all.
Oh, yeah.
And I got this message that I needed to give this crystal to you. And I went, nope. It's mine. And I like it. And yet it kept running round. And as you know, I did give it to you. You also gifted me.
It is 10 steps away from me. Yes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I know you still have it, and you have.
Oh, well, of course, yeah. Because I'm going to be putting that back into your hands when I see you next. Yes.
Yeah, of course. We didn't know that we wouldn't see each other physically for many
years. Yeah.
Yet it doesn't matter. The distance doesn't make any difference.
No, so, not in the connection. No.
Am I glad I let that go? Yes, because it's significant to the perfection of our connection.
Yes.
It really is. So, you know, trust that voice when it says it's time to let something go, because it may be for, like we had, it maintains our connection between us both, and something that we hold sacred for each of us.
It does. And also in you sharing that you've got a place located close to where you live where you can share clothes or you can gift clothes to people. There's so much energy, so much beautiful energy in the gifting as well. So if you were able to gift something that you no longer, it doesn't serve you where you have it here, so you gift it to someone else, that's a beautiful offer as well.
And what I really love on all of those things is the space that's created when you let go. And we can relate that also to letting go of unwanted emotions, unwanted behaviors, unwanted, you know, it's so many different areas of our life, patterns of behavior and habits that also need to go, because it allows space for you to evolve and grow.
It's interesting because as well, in the last day or two, so this happened on Sunday and it's now a couple of days after Sunday, midweek. And a couple of days ago, because I write courses, that's what I do, right? I create content, I create courses. So I had a course that I wanted to write, and I wanted to create kind of a challenge, you know, a 7-day, 10-day challenge. Although I don't like the word challenge, I will call it more an opportunity challenge than a challenge, however. And I was really stuck for the last maybe a year on what needed to be in that challenge, the different chapters that I wanted to include based on sessions and work that I've done in the past. It's like, well, I'll just take that and I will adapt it because it's so good. And then I asked myself, and maybe in reflection or as an echo of the experience with this coach, I said to myself, how tied am I to it having to be this? And when I let go of what I thought it had to be, I opened myself up to opportunities and potential for things that I hadn't seen before. And then the most amazing insights and answers and clarity came because I released my hold on what I thought it had to be.
So it's almost as if in the letting go, you unleash another wave of creativity.
Yes, because so unleash the wave, yes, but actually unleash is more kind of a letting what's going that way. For me, I opened myself up to receiving because I wasn't so in a box holding on to what I thought it had to be. So I opened myself up to receiving the insights and the clarity and the guidance as to what was already there for me, but I hadn't seen it because I was holding so tightly onto what I thought it needed to be.
Wonderful, David. Thank you for those insights that came
My pleasure.
simply by letting go of a couch and allowing a new couch into your home.
I have a new course. Yeah. And actually, you know how I work with alliteration here. So couch starting with the letter C, a new course starting with the letter C. There we go. Right? Opportunities just abound. So it's quite remarkable to realize. Yeah. And actually, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrapolate there. And now, as you asked a couple of moments ago, what insight might be helpful for people who are viewing this, I'm going to extrapolate into the future so that I'm asking myself in real time, rather than reacting to certain things that I'm feeling an emotional connection to. I'm going to try to be proactive to thinking, well, what might I be holding on to there that's actually holding me back from more?
Yes. And as you said earlier, always more, and there's the evolution, there's the growth.
Well, and I have a phrase that I've used for the last many, many years. And in the beginning, to be honest, I needed to fake it till I made it. God, I don't like that phrase, but I used to keep telling myself when things were kind of difficult, oh, it keeps getting better. Because I would like to believe that. That's the inspirational message that we're told. It's going to get better, but I couldn't see how that was going to happen. But I would tell myself that, and I would kind of repeat it, and I would visceralize, right? Bring it into my gut. That is my life experience for the last many years. It keeps getting better. So just one little final touch point here. Whenever I have insights or experiences like this that touch me so deeply, I reflect for a moment and I say to myself, wow, there's the evidence. It keeps getting better. There's the evidence. It keeps getting better. So before, maybe the evidence was kind of few and far between in what was showing up. It's now daily and sometimes hourly. The opportunities that come to me and the ideas that come to me just keeps getting better.
Wonderful mantra to finish off on today. It keeps getting better. Thank you, David.
My pleasure.